Okay, Be'ez Hashem, today's daf is Masechta Bava Basra daf Mem Dalid, and we're going to start from daf Mem Gimel Amid Beis. Okay, it's not. It's you got to hold cheshbon over here. Taner Rabbanim, the rabbis taught. Let's say mocha. We're talking about basically the subject of the Gemara is if I'm a witness against you, I must be clean. What does that mean, clean? I must not have any side interest in the benefit of what I'm saying testimony about. Because if I do have a side benefit, then I'm disqualified from being a witness. So that's what you have to remember over here. So the Gemara says like this: Mochaloi bias, mochaloi sada. If I sold a house to somebody, or I sold a field to somebody, and now so that person that purchased it from me now is being contested by a third party, saying that, oh, it never belonged to me, it belonged to them, and the sale is invalid. So can I line myself up with another witness and say testimony that it did belong to me, and I had a right to sell it? So ein me'ed loy aleha. I can't say testimony that it belongs to my purchaser, because I have a side interest in that. Very simple. What's my side interest? Because if I lose the case, the guy that purchased the item from me is gonna come back to me to collect. Hey, you sold me something that didn't belong to you. So because because the responsibility to collect, is on me. And therefore it's on me. Therefore, I benefit if I keep it in the possession of my purchaser. So therefore, I'm a disqualified witness. But what happens if I sold somebody mochaloi para or mochaloi talis? I sold him a cow, I sold him a suit. So and then somebody says, "Hey, that was not my cow, it was not my suit." Me'id loy allow. I can be part of a witness. I can get another witness to say that it indeed belonged to me and I had a right to sell it. Why? Because I'm totally, there's no benefit for me. Because even if my purchaser loses the case, right, and has to give it to the third party, but it doesn't affect me, because the guy that purchased it from me will never be able to file a claim against me. I have no responsibility if the third party takes it away, because what do I care? I'm never going to have to pay, because it's always buyer beware. So the key difference between the beginning of the brisa and the end of the brisa is if I took responsibility, if I gave basically my purchaser title insurance. If I gave him insurance, then I have a benefit that he keeps it. If I didn't give him insurance, I don't have a benefit. And therefore, in the beginning of the brisa, we say, because I gave him title insurance, so therefore I'm a disqualified witness. But if I did not give him title insurance, then then I am a qualified witness. So again, the point of this entire Gemara is, I can be a witness on anything, right? You could be a witness, but if I could figure out that you benefit from the way the case will fall, then you're disqualified as a witness. So the Gemara asks a question: "My shana reisha or my shana seifa?" Why is the beginning of the brisa any different than the end of the brisa? The whole point of the brisa is, it doesn't matter what you sold, whether it was a cow or a field. It depends. If you offer title insurance, that means you're going to make the purchaser whole if anything happens. You're a disqualified witness. And if you didn't offer title insurance, then you're a qualified witness. So that's the point. So what is the difference? Why does the Brisa say in the beginning of the Brisa if it's a house, and the end of the Brisa it says it's a cow? Amar Rav Sheshes redesigns the whole Brisa, and he says like this: Reisha, the beginning of the Brisa is talking about a following case. Now follow closely. Reuven shegozel sada mishimen. Reuven stole a field from Shimon. So we'll call Shimon, and this is very important for this understanding, is Shimon is the guy that got the item stolen from. Okay, so Reuven stole a field from Shimon, Umachra Levi, and sold it to Levi. So now Levi has this field. Va'asa Yehuda v'koma ara, and Yehuda came to Levi and says, hey, that's my field. Now, either the field belongs to Reuven or it belongs to Yehuda. So now, either the field belongs to Shimon or it belongs to Yehuda. Can't Shimon say that the field belongs to Levi? Because why would Shimon want to say the field belongs to Levi and not Yehuda? Because Shimon, who's the real owner of the field, would rather litigate against Levi because Levi is a sweet guy and Levi is easier to take to court. And he doesn't want Yehuda to take the court, to Yehuda to win the case. So the Lezel Shimon can't go la'aseh the Levi to say testimony along with another witness that the field belongs to Levi. The nichale the hadra, because Levi is easier to get back to the field. So what he can say is, and the Gemara is going to ask this question, he's going to say to against Shimon, Yehuda, hey, Mr. Shimon, who's the real owner of the field, going to say, oh, the field really, really belongs to Levi. Shimon and another witness will say this field really belongs to Levi, and Yehuda will lose the case. So the Gemara says Shimon is not a qualified witness because Shimon wants the field to belong to Levi. So Shimon could one day take the field back from Levi and get back ownership of it. Says the Gemara, but Shimon will never get back ownership of the field. And if he can never get back ownership of the field, then he's a kosher witness. Why would Shimon never get ownership for the field? The Kevon the Asad lay the Levi, since Shimon said the field belonged to Levi, how could he ever take back the field? How could he ever come back and say, oh, the field does not belong to Levi, it belongs to me? It belongs, how could you ever say that? I mean, you already said in court that you agree that the field belongs to Levi and not Yehuda. And says the Gemara, the testimony of Shimon is the following. The Omar, he said, Yedana, I for sure know, the high ara delav de Yehudahi. The land does not certainly belong to Yehuda. It perhaps belongs to Levi or not. So they give it back to Levi because Levi was holding on to the field. And then one day Shimon will come and take the field out of Levi. So therefore, Shimon is not a qualified witness to say something like that because he wants the field to belong to Levi because it's easier to take out the field, as the Gemara is going to explain at this moment. But who's the chuch? The komapek Levi Yehuda. Gemara asks the question: if Shimon has proof that it belongs to himself, so why doesn't he want to go to litigate against Yehuda? What does he care? If Shimon is so sure that he has all the purchase documents and all the records that it belongs to him, why does he care if it ends up in Levi's hands or ends up in Yehuda's hands? Either way, he's going to win the case. And says the Gemara, he would rather it end up in Levi's hands. The Amar, he says, Hasheni noyach loy, the second guy is easier for me. Levi is easy to win the case. Harishin Kashimene, the Yehuda is difficult for me to win the case because Yehuda knows the court system, so it's going to be hard. So he has again, once you have a side interest in your testimony, you're disqualified to be a witness. So if Shimon has a interest that the field remains in Levi's hands, then he's disqualified as a witness. The Iba is Ema, and if you want, I can tell you, going the Islay Sadi Lamar, Islay Sadimar, Shimon has witnesses, it belongs to him, but Yehuda has witnesses, it belongs to him. So the Amar Rabbanan said, the rabbi said, okay, so Shimon has witnesses and Yehuda has witnesses, so let's keep the hands, let it be in Levi's jurisdiction. So that way, it will remain in Levi's jurisdiction. So the Gemara asks the question, well, Amdaf Mendalid Amar Aleph. Says the Gemara, the question of the Gemara is, why does Rab Sheshes have to come up with a convoluted case? Let's review the case. Reuven stole a piece of land from Shimon, okay, and then sold it to Levi. And now Yehuda comes and is complaining that the field really belonged to him. That's the case of the way Rav Sheshes explained the Brisa. So the Gemara says, why did we have to say that Reuven sold it. Let it just stay in Reuven's hands. And Yehuda is complaining that it belongs to him. In other words, Reuven stole a field from Shimon, and now Yehuda says, hey, the field belonged for me. Can Shimon say, no, the field belongs to Reuven, or it certainly does not belong to Yehuda? If that's the case, and you're going to say the same idea that Reuven is easier to deal with than Yehuda, and therefore Shimon is disqualified. Why did you have to add that piece that he sold it to somebody else? Answers the Gemara, Bishum to Gaboyla Misnei Seifa, because the end of the brisa has to be talking about a sale involved. And therefore, if the end of the brisa is talking about a sale, then the beginning of the brisa also must be talking about a sale. Because let's review the end of the brisa. Mochaloi para, mochaloi talis. If you sold him a cow or you sold him a suit, so therefore, then Shimon, right? So let's say Reuven stole a cow from Shimon and sold it to Levi. And now Yehuda claims the cow belonged to him. So Shimon could say that no, the cow does not belong to Yehuda. It belongs to, let's leave it at Levi's hands. Why? Because Shimon will never be able to get the cow back. Why wouldn't Shimon be able to get the cow back? Because a cow is a movable item. And when Reuven stole that movable item from Shimon, let's say you steal a cow and you sell it to somebody else, okay? So there's two steps over here. You sell it to somebody else, and Shimon gave up hope of ever getting it back. So you have a combination of what's called Yish, Shimon giving up hope that he's ever getting it back, and Shinu Rishus, that from the Goslin, it was sold to another party. So therefore, no matter what, Shimon has no benefit if it stays by Levi because he's never getting that physical cow back. And that only applies to Dafka Machar, only if Reuven sold the field, sold a cow to Levi. The Havale Yesh Rishinu, because now it's Shimon gave up hope and from ever getting it back from Reuven, and Reuven sold it to Levi. So now you have combination of the 1-2 punch, and therefore Shimon will never get his cow back, so he's a kosher aid. Avaloy mochar, but if he never sold it, if Reuven held on to the cow, so then Shimon could be Shimon is a witness that has a benefit because if it stays by Reuven, he has hope of getting it back. The Hadrale, it will return to him. So therefore, the sefer, in order to make sense, the sefer needs the end of the brisa. In order for it to make sense, it has to be talking about a situation that the cow was sold. So therefore, that's why the beginning of the brisa also says it was sold. Says the Gemara, wait a second. Even Shimon, okay, if the cow ends up by Levi because it was stolen by Reuven and sold to Levi. So Shimon can say testimony that it belongs to Levi and he'll never get the cow back from Levi. But he can always still collect the money from Reuven. So he has a benefit by saying that it's by Levi and that Reuven one day stole it from him and sold it to Levi. And he'll collect the money from Reuven. So he does have a financial benefit eventually on this cow. He'll never get the physical cow back, but he'll be able to file a claim against Reuven that stole the cow from him. So that's the Gemara's question. The Sefer Name, the end of the brisa also, Nihi de miyayish megufe, even though he gave up hope of ever getting the cow back, Shimon, midmei miyayish, did he ever give up hope from ever getting the money back? So how he does have a financial interest, because if it belonged to Yehuda and never belonged to Shimon, then he'll never get money back. But if he says it belongs to Levi, that means that Reuven stole it from Shimon and sold it to Levi. So now Shimon can go to Reuven and collect his money back. So why is he a kosher witness? He does have a financial interest in this testimony. Answers the Gemara like tzricha, it's not necessary. The misgazlan, the one that stole it died. So that means Reuven denied. And once Reuven dies, that means anything he stole, his inheritors are not responsible for paying. Very interesting thing. This now we learned in the Mishnah. Hagoizel, if you steal something, and you gave your kids to eat, or let's say you stole a cow, and you left over the cow to your children. Peturim Milshalom, they're disqualified from paying. So even because the ownership was transferred. And same thing over here. Reuven sold the cow that he stole from Shimon to Levi, and Reuven died. So now Shimon can never ever even has no hope of ever getting the cow back or getting his money back because the Reuven died. The person that stole it from him died. Because he has no financial interest in this testimony, he can be part of a group of testimony saying that the Yehuda doesn't own the cow. It really belongs to Levi. Says the Gemara of Eloik be Irish. Let us say that why does Reuven have to sell it to somebody else? Let us just say that Reuven died, and that his inheritors got it. And that's called the Shini Rishus also. If you consider that Yerushus Yorish, when a Gazlan dies and his kids inherit it, that's not called changing of the domain of the cow. So if Reuven died and his son took over the cow, then Shimon could collect the cow back because that's not a change of domain. You need both. In order for you never to get the cow back, in order for Shimon never to get the cow back, he has to have a giving up hope. Plus, it's in a stranger's domain that Reuven sold it to him. But Ella, so that makes perfect sense. That's why you have to say the end of the Bryce is talking about he sold it. Ella Lamam Diama, but according to the opinion, the Oma that says Rushush Yoirish, Kirishush Lakechtami, my Ikalamema. If there's an opinion that says that when someone inherits a property, let's say a Gazlan dies, and his son inherits the property, it's almost as if the Gazlan sold it to somebody else. So therefore, what's the difference? If the person that he stole from gave up hope, he was miyayish. Plus now you have a shina rishus. He didn't actually sell it, but he died, and now the ownership of the cow now changes hands to his son. So therefore, that's good enough for the Nigzal ever getting his cow back. So why do you have to say that he actually sold it? He just plain dying and giving over to your son. The Gazlan would have the Gazlan effectuated Yush and Shina Rishus, and the Nigzal can never get his cow back. So why does the Brisa say that he actually sold it? And Abaya had the basic question of the way Rav Sheshes convoluted this whole brisa. That's the brisa saying, because you took title insurance, or you didn't take title insurance. That's not the point. The point of the brisa is, can you ever get whatever was stolen from you back? What should have said in the brisa is, you're a disqualified witness if you ever hope of getting the item back. If you can never get the item back, then you're a qualified witness. That's what it should say in the brisa. So why does the brisa say alav and not to use the proper word? It will come back to you. So Abaya has another way to understand this brisa, even though the brisa could make sense, but that's not what the brisa is trying to say. Ella, the brisa is trying to say Kid Ravin Bashmuel, what Ravin Bashmuel said. The Amar Ravin Bashmuel Mishmei de Shmuel. Ravin, the son of Shmuel, said in the name of his father Shmuel the following, and this will interpret the brisa. Let's say you sell a field to your friend, and you didn't give him title insurance, so that if somebody comes and takes it away, let's say your creditors take that property that you sold to somebody else away, you're not going to make the purchaser whole. So therefore, you still cannot testify that the property belongs to the one that purchased it from you. Why? You have nothing. You would think you're clean. You're not. You don't have no financial interest in this. The answer is because you have an interest that it remains in the hand of the person that you sold it to. Because if a third party takes it away, then your creditor cannot come collect from that property because it never belonged to you. So you'd rather keep it in the hands of the person that purchased it from you so that your creditor could come claim it. If your creditor comes claim it, the person that purchased from you will never be able, because you didn't guarantee it, so you will never be able to collect from you. But you're happy that your creditors are able to collect from that field, and therefore they will, in your credit score, they'll knock down that you paid your debt, and that's what you don't mind. You're happy about that, so you're a disqualified witness. So we say that idea, that's what the Bryce is talking about. You sold a property without taking responsibility. You're now allowed, you're disqualified as a witness. Vidavka bias or soda, only if it was a field or a house, where your creditors can come collect it despite the fact that you sold it. Al par vitalis, but if you sold, let's say, your suit or a cow, your creditors can never come to the person that you sold to collect that debt. So therefore, you're not relevant that the person that you sold it to keeps it, and therefore you're a qualified witness. Now, why can't your creditors come to collect the item that you sold? Let's say you sold a movable item to a purchaser. Why can't your creditors come collect it? Because it doesn't matter. We go to Amud Beis, Mem Gimel, Mem Dalet Amud Beis. If you sold the item without specification, your creditors can never come collecting that. I took a loan. I have a cow, and I sell the cow. My creditors can't come and collect from my loan from the person that I bought it from me, because it's not liened. My cow is not liened to that loan. My tama, because what's the reason? Why isn't it my cow liened to that loan? Because metaltanini, cows are movable items. A movable item to a creditor is never liened. Movable items, only property carries liens, but not movable items. Right? I don't know if that's the way it is in our states. We could have a lien on a boat. You can have a lien on a car, but not in the Gemara's terms. But even if I wrote in the loan, the cost of life, I wrote to the person that I'm taking the loan from, that you'll collect the loan miglima de al kasve, even from a scarf that's around my neck, on my shoulder. So I really was mishabed. I designated, I committed even my clothing to the loan to pay back the loan. But that's true. It's only if I still own the scarf. But if I don't own the scarf, it's not designated for the loan, so that he can never collect the loan. And even if I made the scarf, well, the cow, I said when I took the loan, this cow you'll be able to take be able to collect your loan from. So that's called an apoitike. I designated the cow for repayment of the loan. So maybe if I sell that cow to somebody else, my creditors could come collect from that person. The answer is, my tama, it would still not work. Your creditors, once you sell the cow, your creditors cannot come collect the loan. Why? Because of what Rava said. The Amar Rava said, Asa avdoi apoitiki umachari. If you designated your slave as a place from where to collect the loan, and you sold the slave. So I took a loan, and I said, if you're going to get paid back from my slave, and then I sold the slave, so my creditors could come collect from my purchaser, the one that purchased my slave, to collect on that loan. My creditors can collect from that slave. But if I make shoyrei v'chamoyrei apaitiki, if I make my cow or my donkey and apaitiki, I designated that to repay the loan, umachara, and then I sold it, then my creditors can never collect from that loan. Why tama? What's the reason? High islay kola. Of a high, less like kola. When I sell a slave, everybody knows I sold a slave. So the purchaser of my slave is at fault. He should have checked that maybe this slave is lien to somebody, and therefore, and if it has a lien to somebody, he should know the risk of purchasing my slave. It might be collected away in case I can't pay the loan. So therefore, my creditors could collect from the loan by going after the slave, because it's almost the purchaser's fault. He should be aware of not purchasing something. Hi, Leslie Color. I'm going to stop over here. And when you sell a cow, I don't know if you designated your cow as a repayment for a loan. And if I don't know if you designated the cow as a repayment of a loan, so you can't fault the purchaser for buying it. He doesn't know there's a lien on this cow or that it was designated to repay a loan. So let's go back to what we're discussing over here. Now, that's the way Abaye explained the brisa. If I sell my cow to somebody, right? I sell my cow to somebody, and now a third party comes to claim that the cow belongs to them. I'm allowed to be a witness that the cow belongs to the person I sold it to, because I have no financial benefit from it. Because even my creditors can never come collect from that cow. So I don't care if the cow remains in the person that bought it from me or goes to a third party. It's still, I don't gain anything from that. Again, and therefore I'm a qualified witness. However, and this is the point, if I sell a piece of property to somebody, and now somebody claims that I had no right to sell the property, it belonged to them, I cannot be a witness that it belongs to the person that bought it from me. Because what's my financial gain? Even though I never guaranteed applied title insurance to that property, so if it gets taken away, the person that bought it from me cannot come back after me. However, I want the person that bought it from me to stay with that property, so a creditor of mine could collect from that property, and therefore, if that creditor collects from that property, I'll feel good about that. I paid my loans back, and therefore, if I paid my loans back, my credit score will be great. So I have a benefit from being a witness. Once I have a benefit from being a witness, I'm a disqualified witness. So again, the point of this whole daf is, if you have an interest in the testimony, you're a disqualified witness. If you have no interest in the testimony, you're a kosher witness. Okay, we'll stop over here.